Hey everyone, it's Jordan here. Welcome to the Intuitive Astrology Meditation Circle. I'm glad you're here. Today we're going to be focusing on Saturn, and Saturn happens to be the planet of focus. So the way Saturn works is that, especially when we have where we have Saturn in our natal chart is going to be where we are meant to focus a major portion of our energy in this lifetime. Saturn represents the promises that we made to ourselves, the promises that we made in terms of how we were going to make the world a better place. And so Saturn has been in Sagittarius for the past about 2.5, almost 3 years, since December of 2014. He then moved out of Sagittarius and back into Scorpio for a brief retrograde season, and then moved back into Sagittarius. And Saturn in Sagittarius is known as the wisdom years. And if you know a little bit about Saturn's transits and orbits and flows, you know that Saturn takes about 30 years to come back to the same sign. And so that means that we had not had Saturn in Sagittarius since about 1980, 85, 86, 87. And so any of you who are born in those years, you are going through your Saturn return right now. Anybody born 88, 89, 90 is about to start their Saturn return this coming December when Saturn moves into Capricorn. And so there's a lot that I could tell you about Saturn, but what I want to start with a little bit is just some of the mythology. So Saturn is also known as Kronos, which is, the Greek god of time. And if you even think of other etymologies of words like chronology, right? It's like how we measure time. And so Saturn has a lot to do with measurement. And the way this measurement generally shows up in our lives is through a sort of testing of the structures and the foundations of different areas of our lives. So for example, if you've got Saturn in your natal 5th house of creativity, you're going to be finding Saturn is testing the structures of your creative expression. And that's going to lead you through a whole host of different experiences. Maybe that means you're actually having a child, you're physically creating, or maybe you're starting a new project, or maybe you're feeling like it's really hard to connect with your creativity. And so Saturn's going to bring up these questions like, well, why is it hard to connect with this part of your life? Because that must mean that there's a little something that needs a little bit of tweaking. And so that's what I really want to focus on today. So Saturn reminds us how to stay on task, how to stay focused on our goals, and really dedicated to the promises that we made to ourselves in how to make the world a better place. And if you think about what happens for a lot of people around their Saturn return, which is between ages 29 and 31, we get to a point where we're like looking at our lives, we're deciding, okay, do I want to crystallize into this form exactly as I am, or are there some changes that I need to make? And that's usually why people make such grand sweeping changes around the time of their Saturn return, because they're aware of how they would prefer to align with their truth, because basically everything else causes suffering, right? And so Saturn return is the time when Saturn comes full circle to the natal point in your chart. And we have many moments where Saturn shows up in our lives, every 7 years, for example, when we're 7, 14, 21, 28, and it goes on and on throughout life. So wherever you are in your journey, Saturn is doing something in relation to your purpose and reminding you and keeping you focused, such as, and it's such an apt, a metaphor right now. You think of horses, how they have the blinders on. Well, Saturn is in Sagittarius, represented by the centaur, the horse. And sometimes we need to put those blinders on so that we can stay focused, because the world is so vast. And how would we stay true to us if we were scattered in all directions all the time? We need Saturn's energy. And so Saturn keeps us on the path of what we were truly seeking, what truly serves us in aligning with our purpose and in aligning with our dharma, right? What are we here to do? Who are we here to be? And how are we here to serve? When you are not in alignment with your purpose and with your truth, that's when Saturn transits tend to be a little bit more challenging. And that's where we get these keywords such as restriction, limitation, and boundaries that are come up with a little bit of a negative connotation. But I'm here to tell you that those negative connotations are only negative if you're looking at it that way. Sometimes we need a healthy boundary. Saturn is also known as the grandfather, right? He's the grandfather who's like the taskmaster. He's like, all right, man, you've played around, you've had your fun, and now let's get real and let's get serious. And so some people are more Saturnian than others. They're a little bit more easily able to connect with that energy. But others, more Jupiterian folks, for example, who really prefer their freedom, don't so much enjoy Saturnian influence when it comes their way. But it is that balance of freedom and focus that actually gets the job done. And so when we're laying our future foundations, we really want to call in the energy of Saturn. Especially right now with Saturn and Sagittarius, we've been piecing together our belief systems. Saturn and Sagittarius is known as the wisdom years, and we want to understand what are our true belief systems, how are we connecting to our own wisdom, and are there any ways that we are questioning the status quo, our belief systems that we've been brought up with, for example. And, we can understand that there are very many layers to Saturn's influence in your chart, and to what degree you are aligned with your truth will be your experience with Saturn. Because if you think about it, Saturn can't break something that is laid and built on firm foundations. So I want you guys to set up your space. We're going to do a little bit of a meditation today. This video might be a couple minutes longer than usual just because I have a lot to say about Saturn. It's a very big player right now. If you want to set up with any meditation tools, this is a flower of life yantra that I like to use. It's really great to help focus my energies. Another mudra that you can use is the Saturn mudra, where you just connect the fingertips of all fingers. This is the Saturn mudra for concentration. You can just rest it in your lap. And if you are into crystals, we've got some black tourmaline here, which is ruled by Saturn. And black tourmaline works to essentially repel energy that is not yours. Very helpful when you're trying to get to the focus, get to the core of your truth and your being and who you are. And especially when you're meditating, it's just nice to get really grounded in what is your own energy. And then for those of you who like essential oils, I'm using clary sage because it's essentially like the highest high you can get while not getting high. And so you can just take a little bit of that, put it, in an area that you can breathe in some of its magic. And just start to settle into your space. And so as you start to close your eyes and really start to tap into Saturn's influence, start to pay attention to the physical form and structure of your own body. Saturn rules the skeleton, the posture, the health of your bones. And Saturn is what literally allows us to stand tall in our truth. And so we'll start with some square breathing. And so keeping the eyes closed, with a good seat, meaning tall spine, crown of head reaching towards the heavens. You can take the mudra if you like, or just place your hands in your lap and just start to feel your breath entering all the way into your bones. Take a full breath in. And open mouth, exhale. And now we'll inhale to the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause with the breath in for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And exhale 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause with all the breath out for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And hold the breath out for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And keep breathing just like that. Maybe elongating the counts to 8 or 12. Really feeling a grounding cord rooting you into the center of the earth, releasing any energy that does not serve you, anything that is not yours. And then with your inner eye looking up towards the heavens, pulling down divine source energy, feeling it come through the crown of the head, third eye, throat chakra, heart, solar plexus, sacral chakra, back down into the earth. Now start to connect with Saturn directly. Sense into his energy, calling his presence around you. Remember, you are safe because this is Saturn's influence in your life specifically, and you can only let in the energy that will serve you. So what do you notice? What do you start to feel? Are you seeing any images? Acquaint yourself with Saturn and his energy, and acknowledge him as a being who influences you in aligning with your truth. And now ask him how he is helping you to tune into your wisdom. What cosmic wisdom are you currently integrating into your experience? It's okay if nothing comes at this moment. Just remember to let the information flow to you like down a stream. You're just watching. No expectations. You can ask Saturn, what structures are being tested? What needs to be fortified in your life? Ask Saturn, what was the promise you made with your higher self about what you would do to make the world a better place? Ask him for guidance in following your path of truth and wisdom. And ask him how best to align with your purpose. Essentially, you are asking yourself these questions, using the planetary influence and energy of Saturn to align with your purpose. And ask, at this time in your life, wherever you are along your path, where do you need to stand tall in your truth? And you can thank Saturn for his guidance, and remember that you can connect at any time. I'm starting to come back into the room. I encourage you to take some notes, write down your experience, and feel free to listen again and do the meditation as many times as serves you. And even now that you know the basic formula, you can just tap into this same way of asking at any time. Namaste. Many blessings.